Okay, there are hundreds of videos of top 10 tanks on YouTube. So I wanted to take a more in-depth look at the topic. So what is the best tank in the world? It's Abrams, but why? That's what I wanted to talk about. I could have made a list of tanks and compared their pros and cons, but wouldn't have clarified why exactly a tank is higher on the list. So the thing that I am going to do is, I am going to compare every mainstream tank in the world against the Abrams and talk about its pros and cons, which should explain why a tank is better or worse. The tanks are not in any kind of list. I am just going to randomly compare each of them. At the very first we have the T-72 and the T-90 series of tanks. I could have included the T-80 into this, but that deserves a separate comparison. The biggest advantage that Abrams has over T-72 and T-90 is the ammunition bustle. Basically the T-series of tanks have their ammunition in the hull, so if it gets hit the tank is going to blow up. The Abrams's ammunition is loaded in the back of the turret with blowout panels, so when it gets hit the blast vents out from the panels. The T-series of tanks don't have blowout panels because of a carousel autoloader. There are ways to put blowout panels on carousel autoloaders and Russia has researched it, but as of now none of the tanks have it. There are more problems with the T-series of tanks, which I will continue as we come to the T-80. The fact that Challenger is still in service is quite amazing. The Challenger 1 entered service 1983, but it's still fighting. The 4-decade-long service is definitely taking its toll on it. The main problem with the Challenger is the gun. The Royal Ordnance L11. L11 is rifled, takes 2 pieces of ammunition and also can't fire heat rounds. The gun can be upgraded, but as of now it's fair behind the gun of Abrams or any other tank for that matter. Also it's heavier than Abrams and has less power in its engine. Merkava is a very interesting tank as whatever is wrong with it is purposeful. The Merkava has its engine in the front which acts as extra armor but also makes the hull and the whole tank taller. Merkava stands at 2.6 meters as compared to Abrams at 2.4 meters. The Merkava is not just taller but also significantly larger than Abrams, which makes it a bigger target. The front engine mount leaves a lot of space at the back of the tank, which allows it to carry a few dismounts with it. Probably would need them in a close quarters fight. Another problem is that the Merkava's gun retreats a lot into the turret, which means that it doesn't has to space to traverse the gun much. The elevation is 20 degrees, which is same as Abrams, but the depression is 3 degrees 7 less than the Abrams. All these are necessary compromises done by the engineers for the type of environment Merkava is going to be used in. I tried to avoid talking about the T-80 because it has some very interesting design decisions. It carries the problems of a carousel autoloader of the T-72 and the T-90 tanks, but it has something that they don't. It's the gas turbine. A gas turbine is a very big advantage for a tank. Turbines produce way more torque and way earlier than piston engines. Also they are lighter, simpler and quicker to start. The T-80 and Abrams both have a gas turbine engine, so both of them are very agile. Also turbine tanks generally have better reverse speed, which is nice to have in an ambush. The T-80 can back out of a situation at about 13 km per hour, 9 more than the reverse speed of T-90 and T-72. T-80's gun traverse is just like the other T lineup of tanks, 12-degree elevation and 9-degree depression. In spite of all this, T-80 does have the problems of the rest of the T lineup of tanks, an interesting tank nonetheless. Leclerc is another very interesting tank. It's the main tank of France and also the lightest tank used by any European nation. The Leclerc has a bustle autoloader, so it has an autoloader and also has blowout panels. It also has a very special engine. Most tanks either have a turbine or a V12 engine. Leclerc has a V8. The Wärtsilä V8 X1500 produces 1,500 horsepower with a displacement of 16 liters. It can do that because the boost pressure of V8X is 7 bars as compared to 2 to 3 bars in any conventional engine. Leclerc, despite being very good, never made its name because it is almost 50% more expensive to produce and frequently broke down in South Africa, where it is currently deployed. Now we come to the best bout of this list, Leopard versus Abrams. Leopard and Abrams are very similar to each other as they have even come up from the same project, the MBT-70. The Leopard has some disadvantages as compared to Abrams. First, it has a piston engine. It makes about 4,700 Nm of torque max as compared to 5,800 Nm of torque of Abrams at idle. Also, the gunner sight of the Leopard goes through the right turret cheek, which makes a big weak spot in the turret. The gunner sight of Abrams is a periscope which comes out from the roof of the tank. The gun depression of Leopard is also 9 degrees 1 less than Abrams. Most of the ammunition of Leopard is stored in the bustle, but some of it is in the hull right beside the driver. This is one of the main reasons for the loss of Leopards in Syria, Ukraine, Chechnya. Leopard comes very close to Abrams, but Abrams still persists. In spite of being the best, Abrams still has some problems. Most of the problems stem from its engine. First of all, the gas turbine engine is very old, burns a lot of fuel. There are newer and better engines in existence, but none has been put on it. The fire suppression system is also very bad. Any hit to the engine usually leads to fire, and the fire is very difficult to put out as it is fed by the engine. The Abrams also uses second-generation thermal optics as compared to everything else on the list, which have upgraded to third-generation thermals. Its size and weight is a big problem which could have been solved with a bustle autoloader like the French Leclerc. Abrams has many problems. There are many upcoming tanks which claim to be able to take the first position from Abrams, but till now it stands as the best.